Hello and welcome again to another day in our week of pour painting. Today we're looking at this little hexagonal tile here, and I already did the dirty work of getting the stencil set up. You can see I've added two more little hexagons with about a ½ inch margin and a thin little strip down the middle. And I was just going to paint this, but I know you like to watch these videos, so I was thinking, why don't I try doing a demonstration of a standard swipe versus that new little wet paper towel swipe that's been going around. I've done this a couple times, and in essence, a standard swipe, you have a thicker, heavier, solid metal that's non-porous, and it's just going to move the paint across. The difference between that and the wet paper towel, first of all, you wet it so that you get a little extra weight, a little extra density, and it helps combine the paint, helps actually swipe it as you move it over your work. But the issue is, the paint is still porous, will still suck up some of the paint, will still blend it as you work, so you don't get colors that are quite as clean. It's still a good way to evenly distribute pressure, so there are definitely pros and cons to it, and we'll see how this looks when it's all done. We can peel off these little kind of stencil sticker shapes I cut out with some frog tape. So with that, let's get started. Alright folks, so there you have it. This is a pretty colorful mess right now. I'm really liking how it looks. You may have noticed that the little hexagons got moved around. It's gonna goof things up if I let this all dry and then take them off now. I'm gonna flatten these down a little bit more, flatten the frog tape. It didn't hold very well to the tile, unfortunately. So I'm gonna flatten the tape down. We're still gonna try and keep the same shape, and then at least when this is completely dry, I can take my little X-Acto knife and I can cut around it, and that way I'll preserve the same hexagon that I was trying to include. So I'm just gonna make those quick few adjustments, and then we're gonna see this once it's dry. Okay, so we have our little hexagon all dried and stuff. I have some concerns now that it's dry, especially because of how well the paint has really set into the tile, even being unglazed, which is great news if you've wanted to try painting on tile yourself. It looks like this is just going to stay in there right away, whether it's glazed or not. All the little bumps and stuff really make a good setting for the paint to stick. But the bad news for me is some of the paint bled under the tape we caught while we were working on this, which means it's probably going to be disgusting under there. And if it is disgusting under there, I'm just going to pour over the surface of this and do something my own style, because I'm not too crazy about the color scheme, to be honest. But let's find out how the tape worked. Okay, well, good news and bad news. The good news is this video will be over soon. The bad news is everything we just said is actually the opposite. The paint surprisingly sealed most of the paint, or the tape sealed most of the paint underneath pretty well, so this is actually very clean. And two, the paint that did bleed under, a lot of it was pulled up by the tape and left a clean indentation overall. But we're back to bad news version 2, because paint does not stick to the tile. What a surprise. This has been quite a roller coaster today, huh? I'm going to peel the rest of this off, get it cleaned up. I'm going to paint the underside of this as well, because I think it would look really cool to have a bunch of little cells filled in, this kind of honeycomb style. Have a bunch of cells filled with pour painting. And then what I can do when all the paint dries, I can give this a black top coat. And if I do it real lightly and evenly across the top, I can fill all of the raised edges with a solid black border and have each one of these little cells filled up with the pour paint. I think that would look really cool. So in the meantime, let's peel this half off real quick. Alright, look at this lovely blue ocean pour. you can kind of see the little hexagonal cells we were talking about earlier. They're rotating the light. Maybe you can catch the shadows of these. And what I'm going to do now is just take this black paint. It's just standard acrylic craft paint that I've thinned out for traditional acrylic painting, and I'm just going to fill in the little lines of these so that we have the raised edges with a nice black border. And I think that'll be an interesting look for this. And with that, we're going to wrap this video up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the results of this. It's always a pleasure doing these videos for me, so let me know in the comments if there's anything else you'd like to see. And I hope you have a great day. This has been Souffle Art.